Hello everybody, how you doing? This is Mr. Dowse, and in today's video I'm going to discuss slope-intercept form. When we talk about slope-intercept form, we're talking about the equation y equals mx plus b. So if you ever see someone ask for slope-intercept form, they're talking about this equation y equals mx plus b. Now m is the slope in this case, so the letter m represents slope in math, and so that is the rise over run. And if you're not quite sure what slope is, or rise or run, or what I'm talking about here, I've got other videos that explain this in more detail. But then the B here stands for the y-intercept. So the letter B, it means y-intercept in math, and that means it's where the line crosses the y-axis. So the B in this equation is the y-intercept, and the y-intercept is where the line crosses the y-axis. And if I look at this example here, this line is crossing the y-axis at this location, and I only care about the y-coordinate here. And in this case, the y-intercept is a -2. And so if you have a hard time remembering what B is, I'm not quite sure the best way to remember that, but if you have a hard time remembering what y-intercept is talking about the y-axis, and so we're only focusing on the y-axis. And also, another thing that's important about this equation is we have y equals mx plus b is always going to be the order of how things are going to be organized. You're always going to have y on its own equals the slope times x plus b. Or the y-intercept. And so you cannot have y equals b plus mx. You can't do that. That's a big no-no. You can't have mx plus b equals y. You don't do it that way. You generally want to have the y always on its own on the left here, and then you're going to follow it with the slope times x plus the y-intercept. So that's very important to understand. And so let's do a couple examples here. It says find the slope and y-intercept, then graph the line. And so this is actually in slope-intercept form. And how do I know that? I know that because we have a number that's multiplied by the x. I have a number just left of the x here. And so in this case, this would be the slope. And then we have a number to the right that's adding or subtracting to the right of the x. And so I know this is in slope-intercept form. So it's real easy to find the slope because the slope is going to be left of the x, and left of the x here is 1/3. So that's the slope. Now the y-intercept is going to be what's to the right of the x. In this case, it's a -2. And so I have found the slope and the y-intercept here pretty quickly and pretty easily. And last bit here is to graph the line. Now, to graph the line, it's a little bit more complex than what we have here. And I've got a couple steps to help explain how to do it. First step here, it says plot the y-intercept. And remember the letter B stands for y-intercept. You always have to start by plotting the y-intercept whenever you're trying to graph a line using the slope-intercept equation. And so if you have a hard time remembering to start with the B, think of the word begins or beginning, something like that. And so you always want to start plotting the line using the slope-intercept equation by beginning at the y-intercept. And this is crossing at a -2 on the y-axis. And then step 2 says use rise over run to plot the points from the y-intercept. And so the slope is this 1/3. We have a rise of 1, a run of 3, so I can go up 1/3. And if I keep going up 1/3, then you can see a line starting to form. Now I ran out of room here, so I'm going to go backwards from the y-intercept. I'm going to go the opposite direction, which is down 1, back 3, down 1, back 3, down 1, back 3. And if I look here, all these points look like they're going to create a line. So let's do the third step here, draw a line by connecting the plotted points. Well, let's start drawing a line here. Whoops. And you want to end up by putting arrows on the line here. A line has to have arrows at the end of it, and so this is now a completed line. And so let's verify that I did this properly. Let's see here. Is the slope a positive slope? This is a positive 1/3. Is it going up from left to right? Yes, it's going up from left to right. It's going up 1/3, which is good. And then is it crossing at a -2, down 1, down 2? Yes. And so this is the line on a graph from this equation, y equals 1 over 3x minus 2. And so let's do another example to help cement this in your mind. Find the slope and y-intercept, then graph the line. So same question, but I've changed the problem around. So I'm going to write down the equation y equals mx plus b. This is just going to help me understand what the slope and y-intercept is. So this might be a good step for you to do. So we need to find the slope. The slope is going to be left of the x, and in this case it's this negative 1 over 2. And then the y-intercept is the number after the x, and in this case it's a positive 5. And you don't really need that positive, so I'm going to actually just put a 5 here. And so we know the slope and we know the y-intercept. So we're getting closer and closer to being done on this problem. Now we need to graph the line. Do you remember where we start? Do we start with the slope or do we start with the y-intercept? Remember, B for begins. We're going to begin by plotting the y-intercept here. And that's going to be at a positive 5. Let me change colors. Up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this line is going to begin at the y-intercept of 5. Now use rise over run to plot the points from the y-intercept. This is a negative 1 rise over 2 run. So I'm going to go down 1 over 2. And I'm going to keep plotting these points. And you're going to see a line starting to form here. Now I'm going to go the opposite direction. Up 1, back 2, up 1, back 2. And if I look at all these points, they look like they're creating a line. So let's draw a line by connecting the plotted points. Hopefully I don't goof up here. And it looks like I'm doing okay right now. And I'm going to put arrows on the ends of these to indicate this is a line. It's not a line segment, it's a line. And so we have 2 arrows here. And so let's double check that I did this properly. I have a negative slope. Is this going down? Let me change colors here. Is this going down from left to right? Yes, it's going down from left to right. Is the slope going down 1 over 2? Down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2. It looks good to me. And is it crossing at a positive 5? This is a positive 5. And yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a positive 5. So this is the line on a graph from the equation y equals a negative 1 over 2x plus 5. And so I'm going to give you 2 more examples here that are going to make it a little bit more complicated. And so it's worthwhile to pay attention to these next 2 equations. It says find the slope and y-intercept, then graph the line where I have y equals 3x. Now we have y equals mx plus b. It looks like we're missing something. Are we missing the slope or are we missing the y-intercept here? Well, let's see here. M is the slope, and that's going to be left of the x, and so the left of the x is the 3. So the slope is 3 in this case. Now there's no number after the x here. There's an implied 0 here. And so the y-intercept is actually a 0. And if I were to plot the y-intercept, that's actually going to be at the origin. And so this is a tricky problem that you're going to come across from time to time. If there's no number after the x, that's indicating that the slope is going to be 0 here, and that the line is going to be crossing at the origin where y is 0. Now we're going to keep doing what we've been doing here. We're going to plot the rise over run here. 3, a slope of 3 is actually 3 over 1. And so the rise is up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1. I'm going to go backwards, down 3, back 1, down 3, back 1, down 3, back 1. And if we look here, if I connect these points here, it does look like they're going to give me a line. Now let's see how well I can draw this. I did an okay job there. And so let's double check this. Is the slope positive? Is it going up from left to right? So from left to right, is it going up? Yes, so it's positive. The slope is 3, which is 3 over 1. It's going up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1. That looks good to me. And then the y-intercept is 0. Is it crossing at the origin? Yes. And so this is the line graphed from the equation y equals 3x. And then the last example I have is going to be even more tricky. I have find the slope and y-intercept, then graph the line. I have y equals a negative 4. Now we're missing a lot here. We have y equals mx plus b. Now what we have here is we don't have an x. So in other words, we don't have this part right here. We are only given the y-intercept. And so the y-intercept here is a negative 4. And if I look on this line here, where is negative 4? Negative 4 is right here. Oops, sorry, no it's not. Negative 4 is down here. down 1, 2, 3, 4. Y is equal to -4. Now what we actually have here is we have an implied slope of 0. This is y equals 0x minus 4. Anything times 0 will cancel out, and that's how we get y equals a -4. Well, a slope of 0 just goes straight across from left to right. It's not a positive slope, it's not a negative slope, it's just going straight across. And so you don't really need to worry about that. We're only focusing on where y is equal to 0, where y is equal to a -4. So no matter what the value of x is, it's always going to be just going straight across here at -4. This line here represents -4. This line here represents y equals -3. This line here represents where y is equal to -2. So in this problem, y is equal to -4 is right on this line. And so if you have any doubt about what you're doing here, if you have a graphing calculator, plug in this equation here and graph it, and it's going to get you this line here. You can do that for any of these examples here. I just realized this should have said example 4, my bad. Anyways, it doesn't matter. If I look here on example 3, if you were to type in y equals 3x, you would get a line that looks like this. And so if we were to double check number 2, if we were to plug this into our graphing calculator and type in y equals a -1/2x plus 5, it would get you a line like this. And so a way to double check your work is to plug in the equation into a graphing calculator and see if it matches the line that you've created. So anyways, hopefully this helps you understand the slope-intercept formula, and hopefully it helps you understand how to graph using the equation that's in slope-intercept formula. I hope you have a good day, and talk to you later. Bye-bye.